edge here. This is the one where, you know, obviously so the blue side has won this entire series. They have the advantage, less pressure on the bans. But to suggest that being on blue side is a free win does a disservice to that game 2, which was such a struggle for T1 and was so close. They will continue with the Malvi bans. They banned Jax here on 3 to try and free up some pressure for Zeus. But the thing is, now it's an opportunity for HLE to adapt if they really want to. And they will ban the Lilia again. Presumably Rumble's going to be the 3rd ban, so it might just be a repeat of the bans from game 2.
It's also telling that T1 gets access to Ziggs continuously. Against Gen G, we just don't really see it, and when we do, it's because it's Gen G, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to ban. But it is, or should be rather, the strongest bot laner that we have on the current patch, and it just doesn't feel like T1 is really able to get the most out of it, actually get those plates, as the ban's unsurprisingly not changed up. And if T1 are following their draft priority up until this point, it's going to be Ziggs, and it's going to be Smolder on the opposing end.
Whoa, you think they're going to pick Smolder? You think they're going to play Smolder again after these 3 games? Because Zeka's been popular. Oh, they're even going to give
a
Viper Jhin. That is a change. Last time they picked the Sedge, but Viper's been having such a great series on this pick, and they're confident with this. This is going to be somewhat reminiscent of that game 2 with the Nidalee Tristana coming in again.
So we already ran it kind of back, and then we're just doing that again. We're just
it's a different order.
Yeah, different order, and obviously I do expect there to be changes towards the second half of the draft, but so far a lot of similarities again. And on blue side, I think you can get away with a lot more, but Owner, I do think, we were talking about it in the break as well, that even though his response wasn't great, a lot of that was a kind of a snowball effect from Keria not being able to execute the early laning phase well. But in the series, it is, without a shadow, without a peanut, has just been able to outperform. And even in the game that T1 won, Owner's early objective control was good, but it wasn't the Nidalee performance that I think we hoped going in, where you really are able to get more than just a couple of early camps and some objectives.
And now my concern is because you have 2 picks that are so reliant on setup in the Ziggs and Nidalee, where your ideal circumstance is they both have CC on their team to set it up. Camille's gone though. You know, the last time they played this composition, Zeus was on that, and he had fantastic setup for them when he was able to execute. That's not there anymore. They can also maybe threaten some of the support picks for Keria. And, you know, if they want to get rid of the Leona, they can definitely do that now. They get rid of the Alistar, but still, targeting those support picks, trying to limit the setup available to T1. And actually, with it being a Alistar ban, Alistar one of the better picks in a Leona, it could just be a Leona on 4 for Hot Life to deny that from T1 as well. And, you know, I'm not sure what Zeus specifically is going to play here, but they need setup, ideally from both top and support, to facilitate the rest of their composition.
A lot is taken away as well, and Doran most likely on an R5 counterpick with a Sejuani. And the Cassante being banned away doesn't make me very excited, right? I would have much rather seen something on the counterpick territory. You can even go for the Cassante yourself. T1 obviously likes to play a lot more aggressive. We've seen what they've done in the series thus far. The Camille, the Zeri in last game. Leona, I think, is the no-brainer here, but they are going to maybe save the counterpick for Delight, as there's a lot of flex that can happen with
the
this.
Flex top support pick.
Yeah, we don't really know where it's going.
Yeah,
like,
not fully giving away information here. We've seen the Poppy support come out.
It's probably support.
Value.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But also, like, it could be a situation where you're expecting Leona to come out the other side. You have the W to block the Leona. You have the ult to disengage, and they'll go for the Corki top. I don't like this. Because now your only setup is this Leona, and there's a Poppy and a Sejuani to run interrupt. It's going to be counterpick into this, and the setup just isn't there. So T1 are kind of hoping that Hot Life Esports just stand there and let them poke them.
It's consistent with the T1 game plan, which is try to win lane and then win.
Nasus.
But the Nasus shouldn't really come as a surprise. And I again want to reiterate. The one game that T1 won was off of the back of an absolute hero play. That game could have very well gone to Hanwha. So T1 gonna try it here again, but you gotta imagine Hanwha. Look at this. They have Poppy into a bunch of champions with dashes. They have a limited amount of front line. Nasus is gonna be very hard to get through in the mid game, and there's still Smolder Jhin.
Yeah, I think it's rough. I think, honestly, if T1 don't get early momentum in this game, it's going to feel really hard. The Nidalee will feel useless. They need to be able to set up plays on the back of this Leona. I also think bot lane is going to be so important. If bot lane falls behind and your Leona is weak, she is the person who has to be on the front line in every situation. She is the only setup. And if things go wrong, you're just going to get blown up by the enemy team. Like, how, as a Leona, are you going to go into melee range of Poppy, Sejuani, and Nassus? If you're behind, they'll just one-shot you.
I love that. That's amazing.
Is that Poppy?
That was Poppy with the peanut emote right next to it.
Yeah.
What a banger.
Well, the 3-1 expected here by the Hamalife Esports fans. See you tomorrow and in Europe. If you guys missed it, whoever wins this series goes to Worlds. The team that goes into the LCK finals here for summer. So a lot on the line between these two teams, and we're feeling like Hamalife Esports got a big draft gap. We'll see what the gameplay looks like, though, as we hop into the rift for game number 4. Game number 4 begins with Owner poking Peanut out. And this is what you want to do if you're going to pick the Nidalee blind, expecting Sejuani. You need to put on some pressure and you need to be useful.
Yeah, bit of good trading happening. T1 really trying to apply the pressure early on. And I think they've, you know, it's so far been 6 games in playoffs of Peanut really running rampage over Owner, and especially when you have Nidalee and Sejuani again, I think Owner really wants to apply as much pressure as possible, but they only really got vision down here, and that ward is going to be swept out by Delight, so denying a bit of information there. But they do have a ward on the blue buff, so they should have an idea of where Peanut is generally, but it looks like with Owner starting on the red, I mean, I guess he could start that bot side and then move over towards Peanut's blue and trying to find some pressure there. The Light also now late to lane, so maybe T1 can capitalize that on a bit and try and get some push to help out the jungler.
We'll have to see. Owner is starting on the bottom half of the map. And this is, again, something we're always going to look to when you're picking Nidalee. You already highlighted it, Ox. So we are going in here, but just some trading back and forth. If you're Nidalee, the ideal lane to... Yeah. So when we go back all the way to level 1, it already didn't start off great. I think Faker canceling and auto as Zeka was moving in. But that's a very, very early forced TP. That's going to have to come through. And we want to remind you, I think T1 are pretty reliant on doing well in the lanes, because if your lanes aren't pushing, this Nidalee doesn't get the freedom to play the way that she needs to. She needs to be able to invade, she needs to be able to pressure Owner because she's so much stronger in the 1v1. Also do note Owner actually going for phase rush, which I think into a matchup like Nidalee can make a big difference.
See the way that Peanut's kind of walking around here. He doesn't go directly into his jungle. Given a little time. There's a ward on the blue buff. That might spot out Peanut, but yeah, Owner's just going for a clear. Faker's hopping forward, just hoping to do a little bit of harass and maybe hold the wave here. Zeka's like, well, okay, I will get some stacks, and I have TP and you don't, so I'm just going to take my stacks back and then TP back to lane.
It's actually so good for Zeka because he was low on mana, he wanted to recall anyway, and now he ends up getting a situation where he gets a reset and can TP. Faker was thinking of TPing with the wave frozen there, but he knows that Zeka's just going to come in and shove it in, so he's kind of trapped in a rough situation. Lane hasn't really been going stellar for Faker so far in this game, and this is one of the things with the champion like Smolder is sometimes you get these really strong scaling picks, and it's not just the fact that obviously Smolder's really strong late game, because he always has been, even when he wasn't showing up, but it's also like the power he has early as well. His early trades, his wave clear, is why he's so formidable, because you can't just stomp him into the ground. You know, we see picks like Kassadin for a good reason, but Smolder just still has a strong laning phase and is a monster late game.
Yeah, especially when you're going Grasp and you're also getting Grasp stacks. And meanwhile, Delight's here, he just flashes in, it's a free kill on a Faker, and now he's able to deny the entry from Owner. First blood will go over to Delight, which is the only good thing for T1, but Hamalife Esports are eating good here in this early game.
And I'm pretty sure that they knew this as well. It felt like they were trying to set up a bait with Owner getting the heal off, but that was never going to be enough, right? The Ignite comes through, the heal very much mitigated, and this is a disastrous early start here. Only upside is that the kill goes to the light. Ideally, you'd want to have wanted it on Zeka, but I think that alone not going to be the difference maker. Peanut, if Owner can lend the spear, could be something.
Oh.
Well, it seemed like he had a inkling.
He was watching his character, you know.
Yeah.
Very focused there. So he's down flash, but he doesn't take a bad trade.
He upgrades to Hex Flash.
Exactly. But because he's healthy still, and because he has the light coming, it means even though Owner's still there, he feels comfortable taking the camp.
Oh.
Just a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Last 0.5 second of the recall doesn't get cancelled, but once again, seen Delight be very active on the map, and we've seen a lot of this Jhin Ziggs this series, and it feels like it just gives Delight so much freedom.
Oh, the root's going to be rooted down. He's at least able to hop away, but I'm not sure he's getting away from this one. It looks like HLE Esports do not want to overchase. But again, you're a Tristana in mid already losing lane, and you still don't have TP.
And look at this. The wave is
man.
The wave is pushing away from you. You don't have teleport. Your back scanning cancelled. On my life, again, particularly the way that Delight is playing on the map. Viper is continuously able to not only have pressure in the lane, but also find so many of these setups with his W. It makes the early game so hard here for T1.
I think the consistent theme between last game and this one is that if you make any mistake against HLE Esports, they will punish it so heavily. You know, Faker obviously took a bad early trade against Zeka, and now the whole team is making his life hell because he burnt TP early. And in the previous game, it was Carrier taking the bad trade, which meant Peanut was able to challenge Owner and just crush him in here. I think Faker, if you're going to go for this bait, you have to flash the headbutt stun. And obviously, you know, maybe you wanted to wait for Delight to get closer, but Delight is so decisive with the play, and Faker's just too slow.
And that really sets up this entire early game for HLE Esports. We haven't looked too much at the top lane. Looks like Zeus is doing pretty well early on into the Nasus, which, I mean, it's Corki into melee, and the Wither can only do so much early on. He's just farming away his Doran. So that top lane not really having a big effect just yet, but maybe Zeus can get something going on the top side for T1, because that's really the one lane where things are going well for them. The bottom side is pretty even at this point, although I would say that Viper's had a bigger effect on the map and on bullying Faker in mid.
I was doing a little stack check. Doran at 60, Zeka at, I think, 50-something. So Delight is in the area. T1 have already taken the grubs. We'll see if Owner can actually find an angle for this invade.
You know,
Carrier
he always is in the area. I think we could just default to that being the standard state of the game.
It's always there.
It's not support Poppy, it's River Poppy. You know, inspired by the old River Shen, but he's just... I can't remember the last time I saw him bot lane, honestly.
Yeah, no, this really is some... This is specifically the handshake as well of Jhin and Ziggs is like giving me dumb on 2020 flashbacks, right? When Barrel was just always off on the map, doing his own thing. T1, Carrier hasn't been able to have the same impact that Delight has. Very similar to the impact that Peanut has had on average over the course of this series compared to Owner.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think HLE Esports, you know, they get these little wins early on, and they're just going to run with it. They're not going to overforce. Delight will continue to put on pressure, but it really forces T1 into an awkward spot where it's very difficult to make proactive plays when you don't really have a lot of control on the map, and Delight is everywhere. And like, if you try to make a play, Delight's there. And so you don't really have a lot of freedom to do much. You guys talked about the Jhin into the Ziggs. I think they also talked about it on the space. Wadid, I think, mentioned it. Viper just consistently picking this up over and over, and just able to 1v1, and the Ziggs just really hasn't had much pressure in this entire series, I guess, outside of game 2, where Gomo was able to push the top lane with it.
And you know, they are now looking for something. Might find Carrier here.
Delight is always there, and he's in bot this time around. Carrier, he's got the Eclipse, but I don't know if he's got legs to stand on anymore. Down he'll go, and just a lack of vision, and now they leave Kuma alone in the bottom side. HLE Esports. Delight really trying to make a PUG angle for himself early on in this one.
He's doing so much work. And I mean, one of the things with like Ziggs back in the day was people would pick him and be like, okay, now he supports free to roam. But when Viper just has more pressure in the matchup and Delight is getting more impact out of the roams, it's like you're not getting the value. And as you've heard me say many times before, if you're playing Ziggs, you should be getting plates. They're not getting plates. They got a Trist, they got a Nidalee. It's only a 500 gold lead, but being behind with these picks doesn't feel good. And T1 definitely not having a great start to this game already. And this is their blue side game. You know, the expectation, if they want to win this series, this should be the easier one. Game 5, when HLE have side select, that should be the hard one. And this one's already starting off with a bit of a struggle.
Gonna have to see them, at the very least, get the grubs. Might be able to chain those together. If you can get grubs into a Drake, start stacking early, maybe get in the second Drake, that could be something here for T1. But working from a gold deficit, playing into double stacking champions, a lot of laning difficulties this time around, as we do see Keria. So I think very clearly knew that the light was in there, but wasn't expecting Peanut to be in there, or the other way around, because the eclipse was basically immediate, predictive, but it doesn't really matter when Viper can just set up and Peanut can just get the passive off.
The CC layering was good, and by the time the CC ended, Keria was like, if I flash, they're just going to flash after me.
And he would have died.
And both Peanut and Delight have Hex Flash as well, so, you know, what are you going to really do about that situation?
Yep, absolutely. And so just kind of accepts his fate. Guma's fine because he can clear waves still. But, you know, the Ziggs feels good in terms of when he's behind, he can clear waves and he stays safe in that way. But again, it's not the proactive Ziggs that we have looked for. And now we're going to open up here on a Zeus. Really on the angle there, Zeus. Not much room to go for. He's going to try to flash away, and there's not enough stuns coming in. Here's Delight again. Again, he's everywhere. And he'll take a bunch of damage as well. So now maybe an angle for T1 to go for these grubs.
Actually, it's not looking that bad here. Peanut holds onto the ultimate. I think could have used it, but maybe wasn't sure whether they had the damage. That's no Viper ult, so that should be 6 grubs for T1, which is a very, very necessary dub in their column.
4
5
grubs?
is still there. Just 4 is already
5?
decent. I think 5 you can just take and peace out, which it looks like that's what they're doing, because they obviously don't have Zeus really in this equation, so they don't want to overstep.
Yeah, I mean, even though you get the second Void Grub, the difference in the burn, obviously, between 5 and 6 is not big. They'll still shred towers. Now HLE moving towards the Dragon, and with it being Ocean, then Chemtech, which, in my opinion, two of the weakest souls.
Viper in a very awkward spot in the top lane. That's a big one to the face, and Viper just walks it off, but at the same time, I mean, he's top. Now, the TP was used by Zeus, so he can't really get to this fight either. Zeka just walks that one off. Yeah, Keria trying to find an angle to Zeka, but I think it's big that T1 try and contest this Dragon, because if you give 2 over to HLE and it's a strong soul, you're a mistake away from being in a really uncomfortable position given over soul points. So Owner is trying to set up on this now. HLE are hovering around. I mean, they don't have Viper yet, so it doesn't really feel like they can fight. The top laner champions don't have their teleports at the moment, so T1 just trying to get this one down and in their column. Faker's gonna take the aggro, which actually resets the Dragon a little bit. T1 feeling the pressure now. Viper, here comes the helicopter trying to get somebody out of this one. It will be Keria that is sent flying, and they say thank you for the leash. They'll take the Dragon, and it's Mountain Soul up next. Humalife Esports basically run away with a free objective. And Mountain Soul as well, especially when you have poke champions, Bears champions like Corki, Nidalee, and the Ziggs, and you have these mega tanks on the side of HLE. They get Mountain Soul, the game's cooked.
Hey, on the flip side, I know we have, and I'm just going to ignore the smolder for this, but, you know, Jin's going to struggle into
Devil's advocate.
I need to do something, man. I think that right now, it does feel like the situation for T1, obviously, not looking too hot. Again, I think that one of the big things that I'm worried about is we haven't actually seen Doran join a fight yet. If this Nessus that I imagine at this point is sitting at like, what, 150, 200 stacks? All
right, trying to get on top of the Poppy. That's pretty brave, but they have enough damage with the Nidalee just to follow up. But Delight is holding, waiting. He's still got his flash, and he really wants to use it. He is, and then he just dies anyway. I really liked how he was holding it and not using it, and then he used it.
Kept holding it.
And then I really didn't like that part. Okay, nice dodge from Zeus, but he doesn't have his flash, and yeah, he's pretty dead. 1 Q will get the job done, so Humalife Esports at least are able to trade it back.
Okay, Delay, we got to give you some flack for that one, because that was
Questionable.
That was definitely questionable. There is a counterplay on the opposite end of the map for Hanwha, but Faker getting a kill is definitely huge. This Tristana was the big win condition that they relied upon in the previous game.
And the turrets.
And with 5 grubs, this is going to go down very quick. Should be able to get first turbo as well. Yes, Nessus pushes fast, but not as fast as a Tristana with 5. Whew.
I think the problem is, though, is that HLE trade towers, but also get Herald. So now T1 might feel like they need to get more in this situation, but the light is here. Protect Zeka. Zeka has tons of wave clear, so all in all, I think HLE happy with that trade, with how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it does feel like a nice trade, but we'll take...
Because Carrier, like, RE's out of vision, but the flash, definitely questionable at the end. But here, it's so funny because Zeus obviously dodges Zilt, which is great, but the amount of tower hits that a Sejuani Nasus can tank with Locket as well, they could be under that tower for like, 20 seconds and keep going.
I thought you were going to say 20 minutes. I would also agree with that.
Yeah, probably valid.
Yeah, it's a little bit of juggling, but they'll be fine. Do see T1 still making moves on the map. Not feeling like the third game, which was, again, just a complete and utter blowout. But there's still a lot of the things that we've seen of Hanwha. Has Zeka just happily stacking. Doran also picked up a kill. For T1, again, these dragons, I think, you can't afford to give a single one up. If you ever get a soul point threat, it's going to be really hard to play out. You need to be sure about your engagements, and this is where I think the Poppy really plays a big part. Because if you mess up an engage, like between Wither, Flap, the ultimate from Viper, you're just never getting out. Your first call needs to be the right one. 260 stacks now for Doran, so inside is going to be a menace. There's that Herald you were talking about, Ox.
Yeah, won't be able to get the tower, but just put some pressure down. I'm not sure about this. I feel like mid would have been better, but maybe they just thought they wouldn't find a window there. Now they are looking for Doran.
Yeah, he's kind of getting baited into this one, and Faker just going to hop away. Doran now flashes into the T1 jungle. Zeke's even trying to get on in there. Doran 1 Q away and nearly takes off Zeus' head. As, yeah, he will go down to the explosive shot, but that got a little bit spicy.
But Zeus was just top lane, where the Herald went. So he TPs for the kill, but they give up the tier 2 and give the gold to Smolder. So, and also it's over a minute till Dragon. Doran's going to be alive. I understand you want to do something proactive, but that was just a negative play for T1.
Yeah, and also Zeus TP'd and Doran didn't, so Doran can just TP back in. As we take another look here, obviously, if you're Doran, you're gonna take this if you think you're in an isolated situation, because your Nasus into an 80 carry.
But you also look at the minimap, and like Sejuani and Smolder backed away, and they see the TP, and they're like, okay, well, I guess you even see the ult come out with the Smolder, like, well, I know what I'm doing. And Doran nearly getting the kill, and then trading flashes means that there's not even like a flash advantage gained from this. So yeah, I think HLE very happy with that trade. And now 10 seconds until that Dragon, the all-important soul point. It is control in favor of T1, but they really want to make sure that HLE can't get close. Remember, the Poppy is such a spanner when it comes to setting up these Dragons, on the fact you can just knock someone, particularly the jungler, away.
Gonna have to land a lot of poke. T1, this is a must-get for them. If Almalife gets soul point of a mountain soul into this poke composition, they're gonna be in deep trouble.
Well, both the teams are going to fight for it. Doran's taking the long way around. He doesn't have his flash anymore, but here comes the Delight. Oh, it's not going to hit anything, as it's like he was going to be pushed away from that one. So the Drake does go over to their side. There's the clear from the Ziggs, and all of a sudden, T1 get the Drake. They don't lose a turret, and nothing else much happens. Feels pretty good for T1.
Yeah, really well played. Good poke landed. They had the setup first. They didn't get hit by the Poppy ult. Guma was ready with the interrupt, but was out of range. And
is that a satchable tower?
Oh, it might just be.
Yeah, we're going to see another ult try to clear the wave, but yeah, that is a satchable tower. Down it goes! And Guma is able to take it down.
And you know what else? He's building Leandries, which is completely the right call in this bulky front line, but he's been very big on the Horizon focus. Leandry Ziggs will do a lot of damage here, and things were a bit doom and gloom for T1, but they navigated that passage of play from the starting up the Dragon until taking that tower perfectly. Considering, the trade down losing top tier 2, they managed to find a good bounce back and really instill some hope over this game.
Yeah, as a T1 predictor, obviously, I have at no point in this game doubted them. So I feel like this is all going according to plan, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. Imagine how tanky Leona's going to be with 4 Mountain Dragons.
You know,
Think
if
about
you,
that.
don't have any tanks, just get Mountain Soul, 4 Mountain Dragons, and everyone's a tank.
Woo!
When everyone's a tank, nobody
Okay,
is.
no, Ox, we had the thing. Didn't need to take it further.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, I do think, you know, T1 had the 1 Drake, and we'll see if they'll get any more. I'm not so sure. I mean, it was a nice setup on that first one, but it certainly feels like a close game, and I think that Homalife will try to fight harder over the next ones. And the turn's going to go down here probably, but it looks like Faker's looking to trade in top side with
Gonna
the
take
TP
another
as
wave.
well.
They might look for an inner if Homalife overstay towards bot side.
They get it. They understand. But yeah, I just think this is why Ziggs is so good in these cross maps, because he's so good at taking
They're
towers.
beginning to believe.
We're watching them learn things in real time, guys!
They're doing it! But yeah, so they deny the push on the bot side, slow it down. I don't think they're going to be able to pressure more on the top side, but they're doing a good job of just pushing the pace of the game.
Now, there is a smolder still in this game. Zeka, this time around, hasn't really been the main character the way that he was in some of the previous games, but is sitting at about 170 right now. Should be able to get towards that. And this is obviously the luxury that Homalife bought them as well. They do not need to care about this next dragon. They can play either towards Baron if T1, you know, overcommit towards the objective. They can go for mid push. They can try and get the bot side inner. So there's a lot of objectives for them that they can choose to go towards. Whereas T1, I think, are still prized into getting these objectives. Faker in a side lane, though, I do think is a big problem, because we haven't talked about Doran as much. Is still sitting at almost 400 stacks, and I think should be fine against the Tristana, but once he finishes Mortal Reminder, I actually think it's going to be hard for Doran, because he hasn't really been put in a position in this game where, you know, sometimes we see the Nessus get a bunch of kills, get a lot of turret gold. This time around, not so much.
I mean, even though he's an infinite stacking champion, this champion always feels strongest in the mid game when he's too durable. It'll get to the point where he's going to get shredded, and also, it's really hard for him to stay on targets. Like, if he withers anyone, apart from Carrier, which you don't really want to be withering Carrier, but they can just create space quite easily. You have the Buster Shot, you have the Satchel, and as a result, it's going to be hard for him to stick onto targets unless he's got a flank, and you will just get shredded. We get some big item spikes coming in here as well. The Andrews was finished, Kakuma, Zayas has his Manamune completed. So T1 definitely feeling like they have some spikes to play around. Ona is setting up around the Baron, but we have a minute until that next Mountain Dragon. And thank you for highlighting there was 420 stacks for the Nasus. So getting there.
Yeah, he's got a lot. Zeka feels like not as fast as we saw in Game 3. Viper just kind of running away from everything, but he's going to get satcheled into the wall and has to flash away. Already cleansed the Solar Flare, and that's right before this dragon is about to spawn in 30 seconds.
The poke is landing, and Homalife, they might be able to hold on to this mid turret. Do have a lot of ranged wave clear, but it looks like 25 seconds on the clock. Doran, he can obviously make it, is already on his way. Zeka has TP, but no sums on Viper. That's quite big, and Peanut has the back as well. We'll see TP's coming in. I think Homalife still want to try and contest this. Still 10 seconds towards the Drake. It would be a really big win for T1 if they can get this.
Yeah, Doran TPing in here to try and defend the tower. It just takes some poke for it.
Yeah, he is Nasus. He'll be able to heal up a bit. But yeah, very nice setup here for T1, but they don't know about this ward. So maybe they're going to have an inkling now that it is there. T1 trying to hang around. They will clear that out and really want to take down the second dragon, but they're being very careful about it.
And it's just so hard to approach, and they're taking so much damage anytime anyone steps up.
Baker getting withered and taking a bunch of poke, and now Carrier's got to flash away. Not the cleanest setup around this one, and now Homalife Esports are going to take over control of this very important brush.
Bot wave is knocking on the doors, but doesn't look like Homalife is really going to care. They want to secure this dragon. Zeka is off on his own, but I don't think T1 knows about it. Now they will.
I mean, they're going to spot him coming on in. Zeka just kind of an awkward spot. He will be able to call down Mom from here, but he's not really in the fight for what it's worth. He's looking to maybe engage with the Blast Cone as Corki, as now it's just blanking Corki, and there goes the Leona. Mom comes down, they're just trying to zone them away, burst down the Dragon, and that they will. They take down the mountain, and now they're so close to this one. Zeka has to flash out of here. They want to take the fight afterwards, but the zoning that is coming in is pretty big, but there's the Leona into it, but Delight is right on top of him. Peanut also gets away, but Viper's still in a lot of trouble, will be taken down, and T1, they're getting resets. They're looking for more. Looks like they'll only get the one kill, and the Dragon is taken by Humble Life Esports.
This is the problem. They don't get the Dragon. The resets don't come in all the way. And with these low health bars and being on this side of the map, there's no chance to do Baron. Maybe they rush over and start it now, but this was a great setup for Delight, knocking away the Leona. And you know after the Dragon's secured, HLE want to disengage, the poke starts to come in, the Zigzag is massive, and then Viper's ulting to create space. Carrier gets this great ult, but Delight again is clutch with the disengage to stop the Leona getting on target. They still lose Viper, but that could have been so much worse if Carrier was able to get in.
A single extra kill for Faker, like, not even better. They could have ended up losing the game there. Like, T1 had a giant wave already barreling towards the bot side. They have 5 grubs, Ziggs and Tristana. But thanks to the disengage, Faker doesn't get the resets. They don't get the necessary kills, and I think that actually favors Honma, right? They set up Soul Point, only give up a kill, and they're not going to be feeling too bad about that one.
I will say, though, they do lose mid-tier 1 for that. And now you can see Guma pushing in super deep. They can move towards the Baron, have heavy control, and playing against a composition with so much poke like this, vision control is king. If T1 deny vision and just throw poke at you from the Fog of War, it's borderline unplayable. If the reverse is true at HLE of the vision control, you know, you can easily dodge a bouncing bomb thrown at you when you know where they are and they don't know where you are. And I think that mid-tier 1 is definitely an edge for T1. They still have a lot in favor of them right now, but they can't mess up again around these Dragons or they give over the soul. And now Zeka with the stacks just adds to the pressure.
As hit the stacks is going to be a really big menace, and also as long as you keep control of that Baron pit even remotely, takes away so much of what makes T1 a scary team to face. The Baron calls, I think, have taken a bit of a slower turn compared to where they used to be, say, a year ago. We still know that they are big fans of it. Mortal Reminder now done for Faker. That's a really big spike here. Zeus approaching a third item as well. They have TP and Faker in the side lane, but Honma Life, they're quite hard to engage on again. So much kiteback potential. And now, if T1 ever mess up and engage, and Zeka just gets to get like 3-4 extra Qs off, that can mean the end of not only this game, but the series and the opportunity for T1 to again face off against Gen G, like has happened a bunch of times in recent history.
I think they just want to pressure this Baron. TP called in, and they say, Faker, get over here. We're doing the Baron. 5 members of T1 have already started up this objective. They're looking for the turn on to Peanut, who is incredibly tanky, and Carrier now over the wall, taking damage from the Smolder. This follow-up is not there, and it's just a free Leona, and the call is not clean on the turn from T1, and they just lose their support.
I'm just not sure what the game plan there was, because you don't have the damage to burst Peanut. The follow-up wasn't in position. He has Locket as well. He is very tanky. And Carrier, once you're in, there's no way you get out again. You come in over the wall. His flash is only just coming up now. And Delight, again, does a great job locking him into the play with that stun. T1, you know what they're trying to do. You know they're trying to set up an advantage around this Baron. They don't want to make a 50-50 happen around the Dragon and risk HLE getting soul, but it backfires massively, and now we see Zeka picking up the rapid fire, a really big spike.
As we're taking a look, the TP was invested right from the get-go there by Faker, so you don't even get that advantage. And Peanut, he's just not gonna die. Realistically, as you point out, they just don't have it until unless everyone commits, but at that point, you are just waiting to get taken down. And if you're fighting into a choke point against the Poppy in particular, it's not going to work as a...
1v1, a little bit of help from the Ziggs, and it's just a trade. Guma trying to help out, trying to get over there on time. But it's actually a shutdown that's given over to Zeka.
But look at the respawn timers. Zeka has TP and Faker doesn't, and the respawn is pretty close to when the Dragon spawns, so HLE, you can go with full confidence. On top of that, Zeka got a big shutdown. This is pretty favored towards HLE right now. Faker going to be off the map longer. Let's see if they can push in and create some space against this poke.
It's definitely been kind of the way it's been going. You know, T1 have the gold lead, but it feels like HLE Esports are getting these little wins, and this time around it feels bigger because this is for Mountain Soul.
They can hard force. They know Zeka is going to be up in 8 seconds. TP's available. T1, they need a miraculous steal, but I don't know if Owner can get to the pit, especially not with the light there.
That's so difficult for them. There's the TP, and it's just 4v5. What do you do except run away as Keria? Owner thinking about getting in there, but it's not going to happen. He throws the spear, runs away. That's Mountain Soul given over to HLE Esports 29 minutes into the game.
And once again, T1 try and make a proactive play. Looks like a decent idea, but the backfire hurts them so much. The light going effective.
Oh, okay.
No.
It's about sending a message.
I was concerned for both of them.
He's tanky now, right? Mountain Soul, and the thing is, if that means an extra Nidalee Q, an extra Ziggs Q just to burst through the shield is so hard, they're starting the Baron.
Oh, a lot of ults are down here for HLE. I don't know if that's enough, but T1 is going to try.
They're going to send it. We'll see if it works out for them. Peanut is in the pit. The Solar Flare doesn't hit anything, and it goes to Peanut. The steal comes in, and T1 might just get wiped here. They've got Doran in the front line for Hanwha. He's going to flash the wall. Down will go Faker in the execution. And even potential for the Penta. It's not going to happen, but HLE Esports with this team fight win, take a massive lead in this game.
And T1, it felt like they were in a desperate position after losing the Soul. The HLE don't hesitate at all. They move forwards and crush their hopes of the Mountain Soul. They can start to do some real damage to structures. I don't think it's a game ender, but with Baron as well, there's not going to be much left of the base after they have their way with it.
Nexus might not go down, but maybe we can call it a game ender nonetheless. The gold now gonna spike. The map control that T1 so desperately needed going to be denied. And Faker's gonna be up, Kuma's gonna be up, but I don't know how much of the base they can keep standing. And outside of an absolutely ludicrous Elder Flip situation, I don't know if this is gonna work. And this is the play that it all comes down to, where they feel like with the Ziggs they have an angle, but it doesn't end up working out.
Yep, Zeka having just enough damage and able to dodge away from the ult. And this play just felt like desperate. You see Keria ult over the wall, assuming Peanut's there. This is not calculated, this is not set up, this is... The game is over unless we do something crazy. They do something crazy and the game is over. Unfortunately, it doesn't go their way. I understand the reason they went for it, but it just goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, and after you lose the Baron, you lose the fight, it just feels like you don't really have much else left going for you. HLE Esports, they are taking everything, and it was little by little they were getting wins around the map, and then finally they were able to find a really big one. And again, guys, this is for Worlds. World Seed would go over to HLE if they win it here, and now they've caught another one as down will go Owner, and they're looking to maybe end this one. We've seen some Red Bull Baron power plays in this one, but no 7,000 gold Red Bull Baron power plays until now.
And HLE, full control of the map. Doran pushing in the side lane. No one that can answer him. Owner ends up going down. And Zeka just gets to press his cues with the rapid fire. And barring a miracle, it looks like HLE, the heavy favorites coming in today, actually going to deliver on that. Going to go up against Gen G tomorrow and punch their ticket to Worlds.
T1 just trying to clear the waves for the time being. The wave clear's there, but it's a struggle against the Baron. 2 inhibitor towers already down, and Theirs can just play around the rapid fire to pressure this one. Look at the damage!
Oh god, and they're gonna throw this on top of Zeka, but it's actually Faker who's in danger of going down, and now the turret will fall. It's actually an 8,200 Baron power play by the end of it all. And HLE Esports are knocking on the door of their seed to the finals, to Worlds. And I don't think T1 have legs to stand on anymore. We've got a 7,000 gold lead for Hanwha. HLE in control of this game. Will they end it here is really the only last question. They're gonna take every inhibitor that they can and everything that they can away from T1.
I think T1 just have to try and force something. If they lose triple inhib with Elder in 2 minutes, the game's over. But the opportunity is just not there.
And they just don't really have an angle as Peanut taking a bit of damage here, but the light just holds up the helicopter. Keria blocks a lot, but you've already lost your inhibitor. That's a bit of damage, but at the end of the day, it's Mountain Soul.
It's just a bit. Locket is there. The rest of Hanwha Life just walks it off. No one is at threat. There's no follow-up. And as mentioned, like without Keryas Flash, how do you actually start a fight as T1? And the answer is, unfortunately for them, you don't.
Yeah, and at this point now, it's an impossible situation for T1. Triple inhibs down, Super Minion's going to be pushing in. A minute 10 until Elder. HLE make the right call, they play it safe. They're not going to risk the opportunity to close the series out, to deny T1 the finals and to punch their ticket to Worlds. So they're just going to secure Elder. If T1 contests them, they'll kill them. If T1 don't, they could even pick up the Baron as well, but I don't think it's even needed. Everything going in favor of them right now. T1 need a miracle if they're going to be able to find a way back into this game.
Well, we've seen some miracles. I don't think we're going to see one here. It just feels like it's too much, and Hanwha Life Esports definitely deserve this massive lead that they have. They're clearing out all of the vision, expecting some kind of contest on this objective. And, I mean, you've got to move through so much of this jungle to even have a chance to even see the Elder Dragon.
They'll have double Elder buff, right? You have Zeka already stacked up. Might not even wait till then, but I think Hanwha Life, as you're saying, like, why take a risk when you can just play for the guaranteed, we're going to get Elder, we're going to push in with the triple in it, and we're going to win the game.
Why have one Smolder when you can have 5?
Yeah!
738 stacks and Doran as well.
Yeah.
They're taking a good route, though. They're actually... I don't think they're going to make it in time. We'll see.
Hanwha can just peel off.
TP as well, but yeah, it's just the turn from Hanwha, and a bit of damage comes in, but the stopwatch, oh, the 6 damage is massive, actually, in that push, but do they have enough to take out Hanwha? Peanut has to flash away, but Viper flashes in. He's getting so low, but Zeus takes him down. Owner and Zeus, the last hope of T1, but they will not take out Zeka. That will do it. Hanwha Life Esports take the 3-1 victory tonight.
And we will be denied the repeat T1 Gen.G finals. HLE gonna break up this streak. They're gonna go to finals. They're gonna go to Worlds. HLE come in strong with a 3-1 victory over T1.
And Hanwha Life, the form was better than spring. The games looked a lot more decisive. There was always the chance, is it just going to be what we've seen so many times in the LCK? And Hanwha Life say no. Outstanding performances here, in particular from Peanut, right? At no point today did it feel like there ever was an opportunity for Owner to make his mark on this series. And T1 going to be knocked down to the regional qualifier and will not be able to try and repeat the almost miracle that they find in spring.
Yeah, they will be the highest seed in the regional finals, so chances are good, but likely we'll have to reevaluate things after this series. And ultimately, the closest game this series was the 1-2-1-1. Just made it abundantly clear that HLE very deserving, a very convincing win, and hopefully setting up some believers for tomorrow where they face down Gen.G, who have looked like by far the strongest team in the LCK, but HLE definitely making it clear they are at least number 2 right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear. We've said it all season long. Gen.G are on top, Hanwha Life Esports are next, and then there's a big gap. There's even a gap between Gen.G and Hanwha, but maybe after today you get some time on stage, you have a good series against T1. T1 actually put up a decent fight, give you some practice, you know? And Hanwha Life Esports maybe going to be feeling good into that Gen.G final, and you never know what can happen tomorrow.
And I think the thing is, you know, we always are thinking T1 can blow up, it can happen. We've seen them return to form so many times, but I think Hanwha Life Esports just looked so solid, so hard to contend with, and you know, it's a shake-up. It's something different, something we haven't seen for a while. Another team in finals, and that could be it. That could be the end of the reign for Gen.G.
And the final Rocks Tiger back in finals. Obviously, it was insanely dominant with Gen.G. Managed to get 3 titles, 2 of which were with Delight, 3 of which were with Doran. It's going to be an opportunity. And may I remind you that this man does not have an LCK title. man hasn't even made it to the finals. Up until now, he's won Worlds,
Yeah.
but hasn't made it yet. And an absolutely colossal win here today for Hanwha. Even making it again to the grand finals for this org is incredible.
It is massive, and they will enjoy their victory. There are so many sobbing fans as, you know, it's a huge achievement to make it past T1, that huge organization, and for Hanwha Life Esports stake their claim on what could be the beginning of a bit of a Hanwha Life Esports run. We'll see how they do tomorrow, but just as you mentioned, the fact that they make finals, the fact that they look so good moving into this, and that they go to Worlds and all this, they get so many seeds and so many things, off, a lot of stress off their back as well. It's got to feel great for them as an organization.
And honestly, it feels pretty good for Worlds as well, knowing that Hanwha Life Esports is another one of the teams locked in, because Gen G obviously have looked fantastic, but HLE, the way they've been playing through playoffs today as well, the snap decisions, when something slight mistake for the team feels so crippling, when they immediately jump on it, and so many times they will just find a way to really twist the knife. It's really just a pleasure to see, and I feel like every individual had their moment in this series. Obviously for me, the big standout, definitely Peanut, had a very fantastic series, but it feels like everyone knows their role, and it's funny that Viper, someone who, you know, even have the Viper Life Esports, that it feels like he's been a lot quieter on this in this split, not because of necessarily he hasn't been putting the numbers, especially in playoffs, but just the rest of the team has been so good, it doesn't feel like it's all falling on his shoulders like we've sometimes seen before. The team is good, not just the individuals.
And a lot of that also is due to the improvement that Zeka has made. This was a player that, even in the run where they won Worlds, was often criticized for having a very small champion pool right leading up to Worlds, or necessarily defended.
He just proves that by playing smaller for 4 games.
Okay, that's a good. I mean, over the split, Ox, but fair call out. And what I love about Hanwha specifically is the fact that, as we mentioned, like, we're talking about, okay, they can play aggressively because they have the Zeka TP, and then they actually make that happen. Here, they don't flip the Elder, they don't give the opportunity, just calm, collected, taking away any opportunities that T1 had.
You just hear the final calls. They say, let's give it our all. You know, let's try our best moving into tomorrow, most likely, and probably just for the rest of the year in general. Guma did do a lot of damage in that last fight especially, but at the end of the day, they were just too far behind. And for T1, as you guys mentioned, you know, they do have the regional qualifiers. They're not out of Worlds. They haven't, like, lost anything yet, but obviously this is going to be a big hit for them, not able to make the finals for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, and as a result, you know, they can only be 3rd or 4th seed for Worlds, which is definitely a different vibe, different feel. They are the reigning world champions and knocked down a couple of pegs on the back of this, but still, we know they'll bounce back. T1 always a team who will sort of fight back from their defeats, and they'll come strong on the regional qualifier, but HLE definitely making a statement today.
Really are, and if you're wondering how to qualify, it's very easy. So now the qualifier is set, so we have KT and BNK in the bottom bracket. DK and T1 both have 2 lives, so we'll see how that plays out in the near future.
Yeah, and most likely, it's DK and T1 that make it. But you never know. That's why we've got a bracket.
Miracle run, 4th year in a row.
We've seen some 6th place teams do it before. But either way, guys, this was the lower finals from us. I hope you did enjoy it. Hanwha Life Esports, a very just granted win. They deserve this 100%, and we'll see how they do tomorrow up against Gen G. Should be a blast. And make sure you guys are tuning into the finals tomorrow. But we're going to hand it over to Helen, over to Deer for the translation. Take it away for the stage interview.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the post-match interview translation, joined by Hanwha Life Esports, who just took a 3-1 victory in the lower finals of the 2024 LCK Playoffs Round 4, presented by Woody Bank. So let's hear from Doran, Peanut, Zeka, Viper, Delight, and head coach Dandy. Congratulations! Thank you.
네, 팬분들의 뜨거운 환성 들리시죠? 도란 선수 오늘 3대 1로 승리를 하면서
are so rowdy. Doran, you took T1 down with a 3-1. victory and advance to the finals. How do you feel? Being able to perform and play in front of so many fans supporting us on such a big stage was so ecstatic and it was so fun. And I feel like I missed one finals and just being able to go back. It just feels surreal and I will be sure that I am ready. And even your head coach, Dandy, mentioned how threatening and how important the top lane matchup is. So what mindset did you play with today? No, I put in my everything and thought that, you know, I should play as always, as I have always been playing. And so no one can stop Doran in his peak form. What are your thoughts on this statement and how did you feel about today's matchup? You know, I think it's just everything that we have been doing so far and all the preparation have really paid off. And regarding the statement for today's match, I feel like I wasn't really in my peak form. I wasn't able to showcase that, but tomorrow I will. And Doran, you have experience winning 3 consecutive titles with Genji. And this will be your 4th title if you win. So what does this finals mean to you? You know, during the rehearsal and all the preparation work that went into today's match, honestly, I felt really emotional. Maybe it's an overstatement, but you know, there has been so much work put into this and just winning tomorrow would mean so much. And I actually feel so confident for tomorrow. Next up, let's talk to Peanut. Congratulations! You know, at Hana Life Esports, formerly known as Rocks Tigers, you got their first title 8 years ago. And after returning to your former team, you led the team to the grand finals once again. So what does this grand finals mean to you? You know, my first title was 8 years ago. And today, that's why I even wanted to go to the finals even more. And I'm just really glad and just being able to achieve that dream of coming to the finals and advancing to the finals with my team, it just feels like so surreal. It means so much to me. And so in games 1 and 3, you got POG with Poppy, and Delight piloted her in game 4. So what is the overall evaluation of Poppy as a team? I feel like rather than saying that she's really extremely good, but against an aggressive team like T1, Poppy has a really good counter to that kind of a team play style. So I believe that that was just something that we tried to utilize today in today's match. Wow, someone has the old Rocks Tigers uniform. How does it feel? Feel like you'll have a resolution like no other. Honestly, it feels really nice, and it actually brings back really good memories. I feel like all my old teammates must feel so happy to see this. Now, what's remaining is your match against Genji, which you were a part of last season. And it's time to win and prove yourself. So what did you work on the most to prepare? With Genji being able to pull off so many good team fights, I feel like aside from macro, I think it's just really going to be more about teamwork and team fights. So I think we're able to showcase that today, and as long as we keep that up, it will go smoothly tomorrow as well. And you are on the path of winning 7 titles and becoming the first jungler to do so. So what is your resolution? Honestly, I don't think that there's a lot left in my professional career, and I don't want to miss this opportunity. So I will make sure and do my best to win tomorrow. Let's talk to Zaka. Zaka, this is your first LCK finals. Close to your hometown, Pohang, you'll be a part of the finals in Gyeongju. How do you feel? You know, after we unfortunately lost and it got eliminated from the playoffs last spring, we were just that much more desperate for this season. So I'm just really glad that we're able to make it to the grand finals. And Hanwha blind picked Smolder in all 4 games and used him in mid for 3 of those games. So it looked like the team prioritized Smolder over Ziggs. So what strength were you looking at? So Smolder as a champion has really strong late game. And I think it was just all about late game. We wanted to get the most value in the late game, and that's why we prioritized him. And so, although you are a world's champion, this will be your first LCK finals. Your first one on a big stage, so what is your resolution? You know, being able to be a part of the world stage, the world's grand final stage, and being able to be a part of the LCK grand finals, it will be different. It's going to feel different, but I want to do my best and win it once again. And Viper. So it's been a while since you made it to the LCK finals in your career. Since 2019 summer, it's been 5 years. How do you feel? A little, you know, this spring was the time that I thought I was going to be making it, but it felt really disappointing to not make it back then. So I'm just really happy that I'm able to be a part of the grand finals this time around. And you utilized and focused on using Jhin today. So what was the main point of today's match against T1 in the bot lane? Against T1, I always put in even more effort to winning the lane in the bot lane, and I can't really disclose too much detail, but I feel like we were able to utilize such a good champion today. And with your first LCK title on the line, the grand finals will be tomorrow. And you promised that if you win the title, you will sing AD Carry God Viper. Have you practiced a lot? No, I didn't practice at all. But, you know, if I do win the title, I will sing it for you. We are certainly looking forward to that. And next, let's talk to Delight. Wow, what an incredible performance by you today. This will be your 3rd all-time. You have already secured 3 LCK Finals appearance. How do you feel? You know, this is so important for our entire team, so we'll do our best. And you got POG in Game 4. And both supports were highlighted today. And there was so much anticipation with the support picks. So do you think the draft phase went in your favor? I feel like a lot of the picks that we saw in the draft phase were some of the picks that we had expected, and that definitely means that it did go in our favor. So you were a part of Gen G in the past with 2 titles under your belt. So what does this upcoming finals personally mean to you? You know, this is the moment to prove myself, and this is the time I will halt Gen G and stop them from a 5-beat. And any shout out to your fans? We'll be ready for tomorrow and give you an entertaining and good match tomorrow. Thank you. Lastly, let's talk to head coach Dandy. So since you were appointed as the head coach, you managed to secure your first LCK finals. How do you feel? No, I'm incredibly happy. No, I wanted to make sure that we make it this time since we had a disappointing result last spring season. But being able to make it to the grand finals means so much. So in today's match against T1, we expected an intense pick and ban battle. So what was the most important aspect of the draft? There are a lot of draft decisions that involved strategy, but ultimately we knew that our players were able to utilize a lot of these picks a lot better than our opponent. So we had a lot of faith in our team. So anything you'd like to say to your players who played their hearts out? Good work, you guys. Being able to win today means a lot, and it's very, very happy that we were able to make it to the grand finals, but I want us to actually be able to lift the trophy, and I know we can do it. And with Hana Life Esports' new name, you have brought the team to the finals, the highest point they've ever reached. And now it's time to win it all. So share your resolution with the Hana Life Esports fans. You know, as long as our wait was, I want to make sure that tomorrow is just as valuable and it pays off for everyone. Congratulations once again. And that's the end of the post-match interview with Hana Life Esports. Please give it up for Hana Life Esports and tossing it back to the analyst desk. Thank you.